It's a fantastic song, and of course this is the first taste of the new material since the debut album. So well done to the boys, because I reckon if this is what the taste is, then the new album, the second album, is going to be fantastic. So here it is right now, where I catch up with Daniel and Darren in LA, where they talk about the Animal song and a lot more. Darren, Daniel, here we are in LA. A new song, finally a new song. Tell us about it.
Actually, when we were on tour last year in America, Disney arranged for us to see a screening of this film called The Other Sister. And it was just an amazing film. We had been offered, we had the opportunity to write songs for films a few times, and we either didn't have time or it just didn't feel right. And this film just struck a chord with us, and we thought we really want to do this. And we didn't really have the time, but we started the ball rolling. And when the tour finished, we started writing this song back and forth across the Atlantic Ocean, using like zip discs, computer discs, because I'd just moved to America. And we started writing this song for the film, and this is it. And
now, I mean, I've asked this many other times with other people who've written films, been like for Bryan Adams, etc., etc. Had you seen any of the rushes?
Yeah, we had a chance.
Because Bryan sometimes has never seen any of it, you know.
Right. Yeah. Well, actually, it was the Goo Goo Dolls had a challenge to basically write Iris for City of Angels.
Right.
And I read that, and I thought that would actually be really interesting and a good challenge to try and, you know, achieve. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, after reading this interview, we got offered a similar challenge. So we actually got a chance to see the whole film in New York in a private screening, and it just gave us what we needed to put down the right feel and the right lyric to the song. So it was fantastic for that.
it was like a rough cut, and a lot of the music wasn't permanent, and you know, a lot of the shots weren't really permanent, but it just got us, and it was good to have had the opportunity to see the whole piece and react to it. And I don't think I could have done it any other way, actually. I couldn't have just, you know, had some song that wasn't quite that good and just asked someone to put it in the film. This was definitely something that we wrote for the piece. So
now, hearing the song, I mean, like, to come up with, I mean, it's great production. Now, tell us about this. I mean, where you're very, I mean, you're not only hesitant about doing film things, but this producer, how the sound happened.
Okay, well, this is our, you know, potentially this will be on our next album as well. So it'll be on the soundtrack to the film, but it's really, I guess, the first single from our new album. And we're very cautious about the kind of producer we wanted to work with, because we'd been looking at people like William Orbit, even Phil Finale for a little while. And Columbia suggested this guy called Walter Afanasieff, and our hair stood on end because he'd worked with people like Mariah Carey, Michael Bolton. Not our kind of music.
Kenny G was the one that
really clinched it. And, you know, we said no, actually. Like, I mean, Donny Ienner himself...
Walter even knows Bet.
Really?
Bet Midland.
I mean, I guess we had no idea about his ability until we worked with him, and he was very persistent. He would phone up on a weekly basis and say, when are the guys going to work with me? Come on, you know, give me a shot. And he basically said, look, you can't lose. Come to my studio, which is this thing called Wally World in San Francisco. Try it, see how it is. And we had the best time. And I think it's one of the best sounding things we've ever done. And I'm so grateful that we had the opportunity to work with him. And we want to probably do a lot of our next record with him as a result of that.
I mean, going back, and I've asked this question to you many times, but now really in retrospect, when I look at it, you know, still on the Billboard charts, 5 platinum, I mean, God knows how many million around the world. Do you know the figure now?
I think it's around 11.
Yeah. Which is just, you know, really quite scary. The idea of doing your second album, of maybe breaking away from the formula of the first album, of how you recorded it, you know?
You know, everyone kept saying to us, do you feel pressure about the second record? And when they were asking those questions, we kept saying no. No, not at all, because really I think that we keep reminding ourselves that we're just songwriters. A lot of the other stuff, the making videos, taking photographs, being a public person, that all came secondary, and we had to learn to do that, and we're still learning. And ultimately, the only pressure we still feel is to impress ourselves. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, there's an expectation, but the pressure I feel would be that I wouldn't want to disappoint a fan base. You know, I wouldn't want the people who are into our music to think that we quickly came up with something just to sell some records. But we've grown up, we've changed a lot. It's been over 3 years since we made that record. We've been listening to a lot of different kinds of music, and just listening to the songs that we've written already for this record, you know, we're just about finished the writing process. We're about to go into the recording
Are you going to use different producers?
We're not sure. It's
we're hoping to use Walter on the whole album. It's just right up there, sort of financial wise. You know, it's big money, and we recorded this first record for next to nothing, and it managed to go and sell X amount of millions
Sure, and
of
will you
copies.
use maybe his expertise as well in production, or?
Well, yeah. It's worth it, but I think we've got an argument against spending an outrageous amount of money on an album because we, you know, sold 11 million copies of one album that only cost us, you know, hardly anything. So
more than anything, you know, it's still about the songs, and at the moment we're really excited because it's like we've got this collection of songs and 50% of them are great pop songs, and I think that's what we do, and we can't apologise for that. We love doing that. But the other 50% of them are really emotional and very different to what you would expect, I guess, from us. They're a little bit more stripped back, and we're just so excited to get in and actually commit them to tape. You know, it's been a long time.
Break me.
With being able to do that, has it sort of relieved some of the, when you're talking about pressure before, and there is always a pressure, surely, with anyone on the second album after you've had enormous success. I went through that, obviously, with Alanis Morissette, you know, and she's happy with this album, very comfortable with this album. Did being able to do this relieve at least some of the pressure of this is in between to get on to what you're doing?
It did, and I think Alanis is a really good example because I think you looked at her record and it sold millions and millions of copies, and everybody kept saying, can she do it again? And all of a sudden there was this song called Uninvited, which wasn't really her next record.
Exactly.
It was just this song, and it was a fantastic song. And I don't think anyone's asking that question about Alanis anymore because, yes, she did do it. And, you know, I think a similar thing is affecting us at the moment where the pressure is relieved because, you know what, here's this song, we're really, really proud of it, and guess what? We're into our second record already, and we didn't even know it.
Yeah. It's funny, I think Matchbox 20, Robbie was saying he's almost hoping for the same thing that can happen, you know? That they can do some other project, be whatever, be I'm working for a film or whatever, to just give them the time to then be able to key in and go, right, we are really then working on the next album.
It's a transition period that I think it's a bonus if you can go through it to get to level 2, you know. The second album is going to be a challenge to live up to the expectation on, you know, at the end of all this. It is. We've sold a lot of records on a debut album, and it doesn't happen that often. But inside of us, we were pretty content after this album sold 10, 15 copies, you know. It was a good feeling that we had one airplay, people like you talking about us, we had videos on TV, it was all what we wanted. So we kind of just sat back and fate took the rest of it.
I think it's funny too because we had 3 years to sell 11 million copies of that record. And day one of the release of our next record, it will be compared to those 11 million copies. But it's like, well, no, you need another 3 years to then look back and see how does this album compare. And history will tell you.
So what's in the future? I mean, what's up in the next 6 months? I mean, obviously the album.
Yeah, we've basically got to go in and try and nail this next record. We have to set it up as a challenge and go and achieve it like we did the first one. We have to somewhat try and ignite that passion that we had on the first record again for this next record, and that's probably the hardest thing to do, and we're going to really try to do it. That's pretty much it. We're hoping to release a second single, which will be around sort of August, and then the album around that time as well. So that's all that's really on the cards at the moment for us.
When you say ignite, I mean, is it hard? I mean, obviously, we're very close and still are. But, you know, as time goes on, you live your own lives. I mean, you know, for many reasons. I mean, you know, apart from artistic reasons, but, you know, you earn a lot of money, you have your own interests, you have your own, you know, personal things. Is it hard to come back? I once asked Mick Jagger that, and he said, at one stage it was with me and, say, Keith, but it's not, you know?
Well, we've never had to come back together before. This is the first time we've done it. And I think it felt great. I came back to Australia and I noticed that there wasn't a problem because I was driving over Daniel's house every day to write some songs with him, just like I'd done 6 years ago. And I got to his house and we took a break from songwriting. And I realised I was making the same lunch that I used to make 6 years ago. I used to eat.
Share what it is?
It's rice cakes with peanut butter and bananas on top. I haven't eaten that for 6 years, but when I write songs with Daniel Jones, that's what I eat.
So that's the secret recipe of songwriting.
But it's funny, we just slipped into it and I realised it was like, I just went, oh my God, you realise what I'm doing? And we just slipped straight back into it. You know, it was just a very comfortable thing.
Nothing had changed. At that moment, nothing had changed.
And we will do anything we can to protect that. We've got this special thing, and yeah, we do live in different parts of the world, and we do go to parties and mightn't speak to each other that much, but he's like my brother, and I think we understand that what we have, the songwriting thing. If we don't have that, we don't have any of this.